Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Indic Diaries. Today, we have a very special guest joining us, Suhel Seth. Known for his sharp insights, witty observations, and deep understanding of global affairs, Suhail brings a unique perspective to any discussion he joins. With the recent twists and turns in the US election, there's no better person to help us decode the results, understand the forces at play, and explore the broader implications for both India and the world. Together, we'll dive into the current dynamics in American politics, dissect what it means for the India US relations, and explore the possible paths forward. So get ready for a thought provoking conversation with Suhail Seth on the US elections and the changing face of global politics. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So my first question would be that the polls were saying that it's going to be a toss up, and everyone, even the political pundits in America, were saying it's going to be a toss up. But you 2 days ago had predicted that Trump would win and he would win with a landslide, which is what happened. So I have two questions. Why did you predict that? And were you not listening to the polls?
So let me answer your second question first. I never listen to the polls because polls and pollsters are a bunch of useless people who have no idea about what's happening on the ground. These people are there to make money. Whoever pays them, they project that person. You saw that happening in the Lok Sabha 2024 elections in India. You saw that happening even in Britain during the referendum. And I've done enough political marketing to assess that people will not always tell you the truth. You've got to understand the ecosystem. I go to New York every 3 weeks, which is the cradle of liberal thinking, as it were, this fraudulent liberal thinking. And I realized that people were very shy about admitting that Kamala Harris was a disaster and is a disaster. Also, remember that America was going through and has been going through the worst pangs for almost the last 30 years. New York, more homeless people, more illegal migrants were being given sops by Eric Adams, the mayor, who, by the way, after Trump's victory, has stopped them. And you saw a city under siege. Now, when the liberals began to see their backyard being threatened, they obviously realized that Kamala Harris was all talk and no do. A. B. In all her interviews, Kamala Harris said nothing. She stood for nothing. She was unable to counter the narrative of Trump, whether Trump was, tossing things in terms of without fact checking or fake news, didn't matter. Trump was saying things convincingly. Remember one thing, people need decisive leaders. Whether that decisive leader is bad, good, or ugly doesn't matter in today's world. People want their leaders to be decisive, they want their leaders to be firm, and they want their leaders to be strong. Kamala Harris was none of these three. She was weak, she was inept, and she was always passing the blame onto Biden without actually using his name. You saw an America under siege because of illegal aliens. The policies were all wrong. Cities like San Francisco had more homeless people than people in their homes. New York was a marijuana, homeless, illegal, alien driven city. Eric Adams had to then finally stop the SOPs after Trump won. So you saw a country which was torn apart. You must listen to a podcast by Chris Hedges, where he does the most brilliant analysis of Trump's victory. And he says the reason is that Americans lost confidence in America and in Americanism. The great American dream was the great American nightmare in the last 4 years. People lost confidence in their abilities. People lost confidence in getting jobs. The economy was tattering. Plus, there was no firmness. The reason why I'm saying this, and then to answer your first question, I met people from all walks of life, as I always do. And I didn't ask them the obvious question, who would you vote for? I only asked them, what is the essential difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump? The answer was very simple. Kamala Harris has no clue. When someone says about a potential president candidate that the person has no clue, it means the voter, the citizen, whoever the individual is, has lost confidence in that person's ability to lead. And as I said, leadership is about being decisive, it's about being firm, and it's about being strong.
So, sir, do you think that the Joe Biden, first of all, made a mistake by stepping down, and then not having a Democratic primary was also a mistake.
Absolutely. Joe Biden stayed on. Please remember, the biggest culprit in all of this for the Democrats is Barack Obama. Barack Obama was running Biden's administration by slate, and so was he trying to run Kamala Harris's election campaign. And the deep state, which was actually organizing all this, fell as they always do. Remember, the voters are smart. Sometimes the voters, out of political correctness, will not tell you who they're voting for because they don't want to displease you. So while the popular opinion in parties and over clinking of champagne glasses, you know, would be different, there'd be something that wouldn't. So that's the reality.
Okay. And so when we're talking about deep state, usually you think about, tech people and stuff like that. But in this election, you saw Elon Musk supporting very openly Donald Trump. Even Jeff Bezos took a U-turn in endorsing when he said that Washington Post won't endorse a political candidate in like 20, 30 years. So when we're talking about this deep state, is it crumbling? Is it not as strong as it was before?
It may be strong because the deep state has administrative excellence and administrative experience. What has happened is you've created a parallel machinery, which one trumped the election, which one trumped the narrative, and which one trumped the outside perspective of thinking. Trump is equally unhinged, but that's what America wants. America isn't the brightest country in the world, they're just successful. To equate success with intelligence is the wrong thing to do. But there are many people who are successful who don't have a bone which is intelligent. So you have to recognize that Elon Musk was the only person who took a punt because Elon Musk is also unhinged. Elon Musk is also the kind of person who is contrarian both in thought and deed. So it was a match made in heaven, or Mar-a-Lago, as it were, between Trump and Musk. And that's what worked. It also worked that Trump controlled a large media tool, which was again a media tool parallel to the traditional media tool. So let's say 20 years ago, the New York Times and the Washington Post would have mattered. Bezos again read the tea leaves. Washington Post in today's world doesn't matter because the young of today, your voter between 18 and 40, is not even reading a newspaper. And he's certainly not reading the newspaper, even if it is in a digital format, because he doesn't trust that newspaper. That is the whole conundrum that Kamala Harris was faced with. Kamala Harris was trying to be a modernist seeped in traditional methodologies of campaigning. I still don't know where that $1 billion that she raised actually went. But wherever it went, it was a disaster.
So, so you're talking about podcasts and non-traditional forms of media that Trump used.
Yeah, and the fact that he used X, oblique Twitter, and he used it well. He used Truth Social well. So he was out there. He was actually taking on interviewers who were trying to needle him by actually projecting the interviewer to be biased even before the interview began. So he was already creating a narrative saying, you guys are part of the establishment. The establishment has brought America to this stage, and therefore I want to have nothing to do with you guys. So you can say what you want about me, you can abuse me. Number one. Number two, see what happened with his trial in New York. It was a trial which should have never happened for the crime he committed. He has committed many crimes for which, whatever. But he again turned that into a kind of a sympathy vote, saying, look, these people are targeting me.
Mhm.
So all these things add up. Consumers, oblique voters, vote not through the prism of logic, they also vote through the prism of emotion.
Like, and talking about political marketing, how much do you think the McDonald's marketing stunt and the garbage thing helped Trump get over the line?
It did. You see, it may not have turned the voter, uh, 360 degrees, saying, oh, wow, Trump is at McDonald's. But what Trump was doing was every time you attacked him, he was turning that attack into victory, much like Modi. When Rahul Gandhi said, Chaukidar, whatever, what did
Sure, sure.
Modi say? Chaukidar, chor hai. And then he started. So it's now a very right wing way of approaching the narrative by saying that, look, I really don't care about what you say, but if you attack me, this is what I'm going to do. Also, You may not remember Kamala Harris's statements, but you'll remember the optics of Donald Trump serving drive-in customers, of driving a garbage truck. So even the
Mhm.
optics were right. Plus, as I said, he had Elon Musk as an ally who was able to amplify that messaging, multiple times. You also had people like Bill Ackman. You had people like Jamie Dimon. You had people, even from Wall Street, who are traditional Democrat supporters in a manner of speaking.
Mhm.
But you had, all these people support him. Where did the Taylor Swifts go? By the wayside. Where did the Oprah Winfrey's go? By the wayside. So it didn't matter if you had a large audience of your own. Even those fans deserted you when it came to voting for the next president.
Okay. And so the biggest takeaway for me was not that the Republicans control the Senate and won the White House, may control even the House, but it was the swing in the voter turn in the voting percentages in blue states. So California, New Jersey, New York.
Because the problems are the same, yeah. Whether you live in California or New Jersey, if you see illegal aliens taking away your jobs, threatening your people, creating law and order situation, you tend to get worried. B, remember Donald Trump was the only president under whom America never went to war because he's a consummate deal maker.
Yes.
Every American president has had America at war with someone or the other for no rhyme or reason. When Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, it was the worst pullout in American history because he left so many people who were allies of America under major threat from the Taliban.
Mhm.
Then you see what happened with Ukraine and Russia. See what's happening with Gaza and Israel. It was as if wounds were being left to be unfestered. And that's the problem. American dollars were going to places where there was no need for them to go, which again Trump emphasized, much like he had done with NATO. If you remember, in his first term, he had threatened NATO, saying that, look, half the countries who are NATO members are not even paying commensurate fees. So he
Yes.
did that too. So, he always continued to stay with one slogan, make America great again. Kamala Harris had nothing to counter that.
Okay. Makes sense. And so coming back to India, as an Indian, would you have preferred Kamala Harris to win or Trump?
Trump, because Kamala Harris has always been anti India. She has also, in a very quaint and queer way, at times talked about her Indianness and at other times shied away. She's the reluctant Indian or the reluctant person of Indian origin. When it suited her purpose, just the day before voting, she kept showing photographs about her mother and her. But when you asked her, she always said, oh, I'm more black than Indian. I mean, here was a confused human being. Now, if you're confused about your origins, how will you be clear about policy?
Okay. And the Modi Trump dynamic that we see, that we saw even.
That a lot of people are saying, oh, they are friends and all. No one is a friend. Let me tell you,
Okay.
country to country partnership far outweighs your personal individual relationships. Trump will not go soft on visas. Trump will not go soft on trade. Trump will not go soft on many of the issues that we think, oh, he'll go soft because Modi and he did a jig together. That's irrelevant. Again, that is a stupid and myopic way of looking at country to country relationships. America needs India to thwart the dominance of China in trade and industry. America needs India as an ally only to be a strong mediating presence qua Russia. That's why America needs India. And remember one thing, America and Americans are the most selfish people on the planet. Americans don't do a damn for the world. They only do everything that serves their purpose. That's how they are, and that's how they will remain. Whether it was Trump or anyone else, America will keep American interests first, as it should. Someone asked you on a television program, oh, will Trump? Trump is the American president. He's not the American president who's the Indian prime minister's pal. He
Okay.
will obviously look at American interest as he should. Anyone would.
Okay.
Narendra Modi did it qua the oil sanctions against Russia. We bought oil from Russia because we're a sovereign nation. We have to worry about oil pricing for our countrymen and women.
Okay. And also coming back to the fact that Trump is an isolationist in some sense, do you see the wars ending as well in Middle
I think
East?
so. See, Trump will not end the war because he loves peace. He will end the war because he doesn't like to spend American dollars, as he should. If America has to play a sobering role, then America has to ensure that the world is peaceful. If the world is torn apart, people will look at America. Half the things that America does, as I said earlier, is for its own selfish purposes. When the Iraq war happened, when Saddam Hussein was displaced, the money was made by Halliburton.
Okay.
When you say that I'm giving Zelensky $60 billion, all of that is actually funneled back to American arms companies, which then provide that money,
Yeah.
provide the equipment. So this bullshit about, oh, America is doing it out of its great large-heartedness is utter rubbish.
Okay. Okay. And sir, one question that I had was I was looking at an interview and they said that the the scene of global politics is generally shifting to the right. Whether we look at countries like Italy, India, even Canada now, and the US. How much would you make sense of that argument?
I disagree with the phrase shifting to the right. The phrase that should be used is more and more countries are now revolving themselves around national identity because they believe that when their national identity is threatened by outsiders, whether they are migrants, immigrants, illegal, legal, the core cultural imprint of that country gets threatened. The Islamophobia, which I don't agree with, let's say in England,
Mhm.
but the reality is you have these riots. You never had them before. You never had the Khalistan issue pop up in Canada as it does today. You didn't have the stress of outsiders doing whatever the hell they're doing in countries like France and Germany. So when these things happen in those countries then say, what the hell were our politicians doing? Why did we allow these people to come in and disturb our peace? See, it's a very strange situation and ironic. When you become a naturalized citizen or a citizen, then you detest anyone who is illegal. Now, the little known fact is that Elon Musk himself technically was illegal. He
Yes.
came in as a student on a student visa at the age of 12, but did nothing to honor that commitment. So,
Mhm.
it's the winner takes it all policy.
Uh, Well, yeah, that actually makes sense. But if I had to play the devil's advocate, I would say that mm, stressing upon national identity is the next step, is the first step to fascism.
It is, but there are also now lots of global controls, both within our thought and within education, and within the fact that the globe or the world is more interdependent. So I don't think fascism will come. For all the people who abuse Narendra Modi did not sneak in through the backyard. He got a drubbing, his party got a drubbing in the Lok Sabha elections compared to what they were hoping. But he honored that democratic tradition. Not one institution was bludgeoned to death. Indira Gandhi, on the other hand, destroyed every institution, and she's hailed as a Democrat. But Indira Gandhi was the destroyer of every institution, be it banking or insurance or the judiciary.
Mhm.
So, it's very easy for people to forget history and to non contextualize history because A, they are either illiterate or they suit their own, motives which are contemporary to therefore shelve history and say, oh, we don't believe in that.
Okay. But sir, then given the point that Trump is the American president, then why, as an Indian, would you prefer him to come to power if he's just going to be tough on tariffs or, yeah,
A, I don't care whether he comes to power or not, he is going to be the next American president.
yes.
Will he do anything for me? No. I'm not looking for an IT visa. If some people get screwed, it's their problem. I'm very clear. I'm not the Karta Dharta of the world. I really don't care.
Okay.
I'm only concerned about my country. And I think my country, which is India, is safe, is secure, not because of Trump, but because of our own policies. Our economy is doing well because the average Indian is doing well. Our unicorns are unicorns because the average Indian entrepreneur has evolved. So I really don't give a monkey's toss about Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump will last for 4 years. After that, kya hoga? We can't say,
Mhm.
oh, yeah, India is under threat, blah, blah, blah. This rubbish about India or America or England saying, oh, our entire things are, tied to your coat strings is rubbish. It all depends. countries make policies for their own people. Countries don't make policies in order to be popular. Countries are not married to one another. Yeah, you only need to be popular with your spouse. India doesn't
Okay.
need to be popular with America. India needs to be popular with its own people. And that exactly is what Narendra Modi is doing, or any politician.
But so yeah, so the argument here was that Trump would act harshly towards China, like China was
Yeah,
openly
but what are
criticized.
we so happy about? You see, the stupidity of the Indian media is also, oh, he'll screw China. Bhai, begani shadi mein Abdullah Diwana. If he screws China, तुम्हारा क्या चलता है? Have you created investment climate? Which we have. Are more and more companies looking at India? They are. They were looking at it even during Biden's presidency. Apple started its manufacturing in India during Biden's presidency.
Mhm.
The Tatas created a new semiconductor pathway during Biden's presidency. It happens, it'll continue. So to believe that, oh, because China is getting screwed, we should be happy is another perverse way of looking at global, affairs.
And so my next question was going to be vis-a-vis Pakistan as well,
Same
because
thing.
same
We
thing.
have to worry about Pakistan. We don't have to worry about whether you are friendly with Pakistan. As long as your friendship doesn't become a point of threat for me in India, I shouldn't be bothered.
Okay.
The good news is that Trump has nominated an NSA who is hawkish both on China and Pakistan. So we
Yes.
don't expect unfair support for either China or Pakistan. India, to my mind, is always poised brilliantly when there is fair play in global relations. And that is going to happen. But to think because China is going to be screwed or Pakistan is going to be screwed, we should be elated, again, illogical, unnecessary, not required.
Okay. Moving to the next segment, sir, you said that you don't look at polls, and I'm guessing you are saying that about India as well. So, given that Maharashtra elections are coming up, you don't look at the polls?
No, I'm
Okay.
telling you today, the BJP will win.
Okay.
Whatever that alliance is called, they have complicated names for simple things, but whatever that alliance is, they will win. Again, let me tell you why they will win. Because there is purpose in their policies. I have the hugest respect for a person like Sharad Pawar because he knows not only the politics, he knows the people and he knows policies which are pro people. But he's also saddled with an Uddhav Thackeray, who, by the way, on his own is good. But then what did Uddhav Thackeray do? He dumped a relationship which was formed over decades. It
Mhm.
was his father who was virulently anti-Congress, who abused Mrs. Gandhi, who abused Sonia Gandhi. So what do people say? People will then turn around and say, "Bhai, ये तो अपने बाप का नहीं है." In the sense, he doesn't even follow his father's wishes. Bala Sahib Thackeray is still a relevant force many, many years after his death to this day. Also, please remember some of the projects that have happened, whether it's the coastal road, whether it's the metro, have taken a faster pace under Shinde and Fadnavis. You talk to people in Maharashtra, you talk to people who travel in Bombay, you talk to people who travel between Bombay and Pune or Bombay and Nagpur. They will tell you. See, ultimately, the government doesn't care who stays in Varsha, which is the official residence of the chief minister. They care under who they will benefit. My belief is they have benefited under Shinde and Fadnavis.
Okay.
Did they benefit under Uddhav? Of course. But is that quantum the same as the BJP's? No. Plus, also remember that there is a great debate happening within the Uddhav Sharad Pawar, combine. Oh, who will become chief minister? What will happen? People want firmness. People want clarity. Plus, remember, BJP is an election machine. My belief is that the BJP will win.
B-
I mean, whatever that alliance is called.
Yeah, but doubling down, why do you think that is? Why do you think that the states that are ruled by the BJP, let's say Gujarat or Maharashtra or states like that, are fiscally more responsible, given to, let's say, states run by Congress?
They have a Gujarati mindset. They know how to do dhanda. They know how to help people. And they are pro people profiting, people making money. And I don't mean it in a crude way. Ultimately, I don't give a toss about whether it's Eknath Shinde or Devendra Fadnavis. I want to know, will I be able to make more money? Will I lead a more comfortable life? Will I be able to travel with infrastructure that is proper and deemed fit? So be it. I'm not interested कि भाई आप policies क्या करोगे. See, the other problem is Rahul Gandhi, who, by the way, I praised after Bharat Jodo Yatra in October 2022, and even more recently in an editorial. Don't waive the Constitution. Because I can take a bet he hasn't read it. What you have to waive are pro-people policies. When you don't do that, that's the problem.
But sir, I have to ask this since you are from where West Bengal is very deep. Then why does Mamata Banerjee keep winning?
I don't know, but she does. Because the BJP doesn't have a very strong leader. BJP does not have a person. But again, remember, their market share, their market share has declined. Mamata Banerjee's TMC's share of both
Mhm.
vote and presence has declined. So give them time. It took Mamata Banerjee almost 30 years to dislodge the communists. So,
Mhm.
don't expect things in Bengal to happen in a hurry. A, B, there is a pernicious appeasement that is going on in Bengal, which will die its own death. You see, people are not, like, as I said earlier, everyone thought, oh, because Ram Mandir, BJP will sweep. What happened? Ultimately, the Hindus are a peaceful bunch of people. They don't want to harm people. We are not
Mhm.
built that way. So to continuously rabble around and say, देखिए, ये होगा, वो होगा, they voted against the BJP. The BJP got a drubbing in Uttar Pradesh, where Modi has done exceptional work, whether it's with Varanasi, whether it is with Ayodhya, Lucknow. Yogi Adityanath has done a superb job with law and order.
Okay.
But people don't want that stress, where every day there is an issue about community versus community. So that's what's playing out.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And sir, coming finally back to the US, how do you think the Democratic Party should now reset?
I have no idea and I don't care. Frankly, they can go to hell because they have frittered away their vote. Remember one thing. I mean, Donald Trump was one such Republican. Democrat presidents tend to have two terms. Democrats are more consistent and longer lasting at times, but this time they failed. And now to have a party resurrect at the back of a loss is extremely difficult. Because the first thing will not be how do we repair? The first thing will be who do we blame? When you get into the blame game, you're never able to progress.
Yeah. So there's an interesting argument where they blame Kamala Harris for not selecting Josh Shapiro. Uh,
See, again, those are silly arguments by, oh, she didn't do this, she didn't do that. If she had won, everyone would said, oh, wow, how bright. We always salute, wo chadhte suraj ko salam, we always salute the winner. The fact is that the people of America didn't find her appealing, interesting, or decisive. She was a wet blanket and a total disaster, which I'd said not 2 days ago, not 5 days ago. I'd said at a dinner in Delhi, I'd said in public speeches. I said, this woman is an outstanding disaster. She may appeal to people, but she stands for nothing. See her policies when she was the attorney general.
yes.
She was totally anti-black. She created more legal impediments for justice for the blacks than any other sitting attorney general in the United States. So, now to say, ki, bhai, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, this is all rubbish.
Even after the debate, you were holding that position.
I didn't care about the debate because, the debate is listened to by about 1,000 people live. And after that, everyone is interpreting based on what Jon Stewart says or what Colby says or whatever, anyone else says. So I really don't care.
Okay, it's interesting you mentioned John Oliver, Stewart, and Colbert. So the late night shows, yeah, they're having a meltdown right now because all of them were openly supporting Kamala Harris.
I think they must be happy. Now they'll have fun because Trump will have fun every day.
Yeah, they'll have more content to go around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so coming back to the point of the late night shows and the Hollywood machine that Kamala Harris or the Democrats bring to the party, It was so actually George Clooney is later led to Joe Biden actually, eventually pulling back.
Not at all, yeah. This is all, you think Joe Biden, he's sitting as the president of the United States, the 46th president. He's going to resign because one actor says, oh, do this, do the right thing. These are things that are meant for amplification, to say, oh, how virtuous. Biden was forced out. Biden never
Okay.
resigned. Biden was pulled by his collar and thrown. He was given a fait accompli. And he's also stupid to have carried on with his health conditions.
But by whom? We're
I
talking
don't know. You
Obama
ask
here.
those people.
Like he's the sitting president of the United States. Like,
No one leaves power of their own volition. I handled Vajpayee's campaign, and one day I asked him, we used to call him Babji. I said, Babji, आदमी राजनीति कब छोड़ता है? He said, only two ways. या तो भगवान बुला ले या आवाम बुला ले. No one goes out willingly. So forget this notion that, oh, Biden willingly, he was thrown out. It was a nice, gentle, silent coup by Barack and Michelle Obama and all their cohorts, including Nancy Pelosi. What is relevant is the criticality of what happened with Joe Biden. Joe Biden was in the middle, I mean, not middle, but towards the end of his term. He was told he was incompetent, useless, and actually a disadvantage to the Democrats. When you're given this position, what do? And he's a decent, respectable man. And he says, fine, to hell with it. And and that's it.
Yep.
And because of all of that, the primaries were delayed, everything happened, and Kamala Harris was. So, that disadvantage also she experienced, to be fair to her.
Yeah, and CNN. If you watch CNN, they're also blaming misogyny and racism in America.
As I said, you're young, you should also stop watching every TV channel that comes your way. The problem is we have outsourced our brain power and our objective decision making to these channels. Arey bhai, yaar, CNN said it. CNN is not the bloody gospel. CNN has got it wrong all the time.
Okay. Then where do you get your information from?
From reading, I read different newspapers, I listen to different podcasts. Then I make my own decision. I'm not making a decision because Jon Stewart told me. And by the way, one person who actually helps me in decision making is my wife, because she reads as much and listens to 20 times more podcasts.
Okay.
So, you're actually sharing an opinion. And who am I? I'm no one here. So my opinion doesn't matter. I can at least share my opinion based on informed information that I've been able to glean, which I can put in context. And I can put it in the context of even American history. Which is why whenever people used to tell me, I said, you may like Trump, you may dislike Trump. But remember one thing, what Trump said about the border wall, the manner in which he said, you may disagree with, but it's valid. You cannot have illegal aliens in any country. Do you allow them? Today, Trump has said about Amit Shah on Twitter that, I'm delighted that India's home minister, and I don't know if it is parody or not, I don't think so, because I checked the Twitter feed. I'm delighted the Home Minister of India has decided to throw out illegal aliens. Now, whether it's true or not doesn't matter. All the countries are now shutting down their borders because A, they can't handle it. B, the social cost is severe. The cultural cost is even worse.
Yeah, and sir, I'll take the final question before I let you go. So I wanted to ask someone like you who has been to New York a lot of times, and which is a deep blue state. In over the 20, 30 years that you go there again and again, do you actually see the difference?
Yeah.
The illegal aliens and
Okay, let me rephrase that for you. So I normally didn't. This I started seeing. So let's break up New York for a bit. The pre-2000s, New York was a mess. It was a mess because the infrastructure was creaking, but it was even worse because of law and order. You had ghettoization, you had no housing for, the less privileged. It was chaotic. Rudy Giuliani came and cleaned it up. Michael Bloomberg brought a semblance of order, discipline to, whether it was the Port Authority, which runs all the transport systems, whether it was banning smoking in public or public areas. There was Bloomberg also invested a lot in terms of healthcare. Then you had various, mayors come and go, come and go. The problem began, to my mind, is almost simultaneously with Biden taking office.
Okay.
Because I think, I'm totally wrong, it's not that Biden is my friend. I genuinely believe that the Democrats had a very humane perspective towards migrants. I don't think it was for political expediency, but the manner in which state after state used to transport its illegal aliens. If you remember, the governor of California, wherever, he sent plane loads of people to Martha's Vineyard just to screw
Yeah.
people up and get media attention. Eric Adams did the same in New York. In
Right.
New York, you had illegal migrants who were given hotel accommodation plus social security. I mean, just read about it. You will be shocked. But no one talked about it because it's not the politically correct thing. But who was suffering? The citizen.
Okay.
Let me ask you, suppose you live in area X and you're paying your taxes, you have parking for one car, and you have your child or whatever, school, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly I say, to hell with this guy, I don't care. I'm going to send 20,000 people to live in his area. But there aren't 20,000 homes. Where are they going to live? They're going to live outside, or they're going to live in government provided accommodation. They're not culturally aligned. The government is pandering to them, so they believe that there's a sense of entitlement.
Mhm.
Then what happens? Ruptures. You get angry, they get angry, riots break out, fights break out. The government keeps silent, saying, oh, but this is part of our policy. To my mind, these are silly things. Countries have to recalibrate the way they provide, accord, and accept citizenship.
Okay. Well, I think we're aligned there. I would also like to see New York back to what it was. But
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much for having this
Thank you
conversation with
so
me.
much.
I'll text you when I share this on
Done.
YouTube. And yeah, thank you so
Done.
much. Bye bye.
Thank you.